I wanted to tell a story
You want to tell a story about?
about my life as a cover girl. Just about my life. I wanted to talk about, in past I've read poetry that I wrote during a phase of my life where I was on a lot of psychedelic drugs, smoking a lot of weed, reading my Bible. I was involved with Rastafarianism to a certain extent. I had dreadlocks. I was a huge fan of live music, jam bands, the Dead, Fish, and I had a special place at this time for Blues Traveler, which I've talked about in brief on the show before. The kind of the 24-hour span that I want to talk about was where sort of that period of my life came to a tipping point, a head, if you will. As humorous as a lot of it is, the truth of the matter were, at this juncture, I was convinced that I had a direct line with Jah, and that I was sort of being spoken to and protected to a certain extent by Jah.
Straight up thought that.
This is no absolute zero exaggeration whatsoever. And that in essence, the reason I was being protected was that I was not a messiah, if you will, but that I was being primed to become the first white Rastafarian prophet. And that I was being protected by Jah in order to write my first book, which would liberate thousands, possibly millions of white men and women from the chains of Babylon. So, how this all fits in is that Blues Traveler was in town for 2 nights. One night
in LA?
In LA, one night at the Palace and one night at the Ventura Theater. And I had tickets to both nights. And my weed dealing had come to a sort of I was in a state of having sort of smoked more than I was able to afford. I had a lot of people's money and a lot of people's weed, and people weren't getting what they needed, and I was trying to play catch up, and things were hectic. And this night I decided that I just wasn't going to worry about any of it, even though it was coming to a head, and I knew in some way that things were bad in that sense, but that I had this higher calling sort of made all that stuff okay. So just to try and expedite, I go to the show in Hollywood that night at the Palace, and I bring a few friends with me, and there's a lot of hash being smoked and a lot of weed being smoked. The show is fantastic. It's awesome. And we're on our way back from the show, very late at night, driving down the PCH back to Malibu. And
Is that where you're living at the time?
that's where I was staying. You know, I don't like to say living, because really I'm a like Blues Traveler. I was a traveler, and so true story. No word of a lie. No word of an exaggeration. I am driving at 3 a.m. and I am hauling ass down the PCH back to Malibu. We're going, I would say, approximately 80 miles an hour. The car is full of smelly dudes, dreadlocks, and a gang of weed. And we're smoking weed, and all of a sudden I get hit with what feels like this warm sort of electrical charge in my chest. And I go, in my own inner dialogue, something says to me, truly like a voice, slow down. And I basically screech down to 50 miles an hour, and around a blind corner, 5 seconds later, a cop car coming in the opposite direction. Everyone in the car sees this and is like, that was totally crazy. Like, everyone's like, whoa, like, how? And I was like, yay. And then me at the time, I start, I was like, Jah, like Rastafari, like giving praises,
thanks.
like giving thanks
To
and
the
praise.
Supreme One.
Yeah,
Who
the
shot you that
most
lifeline.
wise Jah, him healer, dread.
How old are you at this point?
I'm 16.
16 years old.
And so this happens, and I speed back up again, and I get up to about 80 miles an hour again, and I would say approximately 5 minutes goes by, and this other surge hits my chest, and I hear yet again, slow down, and I slow down, and 5-10 seconds goes by, and another cop comes down the opposite direction, at which point complete pandemonium breaks out in the car, and people are like screaming at the top of their lungs, like, how the fuck did you know that? Like, and I'm like Rastafari, like full on, like crazy, like Jah. Get everybody home safe.
Thank you.
Get
Jah.
back to my house.
Perfect.
I have to be at school the next morning. I wake up at about 7:30,
What
having
school?
had Concord High School in Santa Monica. I probably have 3 hours sleep. I get into my car, and at the time I was driving a Tahoe, a Yukon, basically a GMC, like a Blazer. And in the console, I have a kind of secret compartment, and there's a lot of money and an awful lot of weed in several different bags. And then also wedged between my seat and the console is a 3-foot glass graphics bong.
Great idea.
It sits about here, so when I get to red lights, I can just go down, take the bong
Jesus,
hit,
dude.
pull it, and put it back. I'm driving. Blues Traveler's playing on the stereo. I have a bumping, like hip-hop, like respectable system in my car, except nothing but Blues Traveler plays out of it at this phase of my life. And I am playing harmonica
Oh my!
at the
fuck,
same
man.
time. And I'm driving, and I'm steering with my knees. And
Just to blow harp.
woke up that morning feeling truly blessed and protected, that nothing could stop me.
Chosen and righteous.
On my way to school, 80 miles an hour, going the opposite direction, I would say maybe a quarter of a mile from the spot that night, cop comes down. I have no idea he's there. Passes me, clocks me going 80 miles an hour, busts a U-turn, turns around. I look at him in my rear view, and just in my head, I'm just like, well, like, I go into like this, like, wait, what's going on? Like, oh, it's fine. It must be okay. It's going to be fine. He's not going to know anything. He's just going to let me go. Meanwhile, literally, all you have to do is look to my right, and you see the top 1.5 feet of a 3-foot bong,
Or just
like
look at
sitting,
you.
or just see me. I pull over. I get my license out before he gets to the car. He walks up. I roll down the window. I was like, "You got me." Is the first thing that comes out of my mouth. I was like, "I'm late for school." Blah blah blah. Handed my license.
Just pass off. I'm speeding.
He
It's
takes
cool.
my license. He doesn't even look at it. He goes, "Sir, please get out of the car." I get out of the car. Sticks his hands in my pockets. He's like, "I'm going to put my hands in your pockets. Is there anything in there I don't want to find? Is there anything in there I don't want to find?" And I'm like, "No." He sticks his hand in my pocket, and the first thing he pulls out is like a huge fat sack of like Indo. And he's like, "Why did you lie to me?" And I was like, "I don't know." And it's rush hour on the PCH, and there's just people driving by like nonstop. He handcuffs me. I'm standing outside, handcuffed. He goes into my car. He finds the stash spot, and then he starts counting out the money. He puts out all the bags of weed on the hood of the car, and then just starts counting out the money to do a count. Like, and it's like $2,000, which at the time was like
Jesus, dude.
whatever, $5,000 probably. Cut to about 15 minutes later, they tow my truck away. They put me in the back of the car, and they drive me over. They're driving me over to the sheriff's station. And if you can just conjure up the image of me at that point weighing maybe 150 pounds, I'm bone thin, dreads, scruff, tears streaming down my face, begging the cop to give me my harmonica back so I can play it in the back of the car.
Stop it, dude.
Because I feel somehow that's like poetic.
Play the blues.
And I'm like, please give me my harmonica back. And the guy's like, no. And I'm like, please. And like,
Jah commands you. Who? Who's Jay?
Like
Jah.
crying my eyes out. That night,
Who gets you out of jail?
my dad.
How pissed is he?
It's like, it doesn't even go, you can't even explain
It's just
the like
unregistered.
utter disappointment. The next night I was taking a girl named Abby, who I had a huge crush on, to the show,
The Ventura?
the Ventura show. And I call my dad's like, you're not, I was like, well, I've got this show I got to go to tonight. And he was like, what? Like, you're not going anywhere. Like, what are you talking about? And I was crestfallen because I was so excited to take this girl. And I call her and I'm like, listen, like, I got arrested. It's crazy. Like, fuck. Like, just like, you know, like trials and tribulations, you know, like Jah, like, you know, like he's put this obstacle in front of me. And
Yeah.
I was like, take the tickets,
That's
like,
nice of
have
you.
a great time. Like,
Jah
we're
love.
cool. We live super close to each other. I eat ecstasy that night.
Jesus, man.
And at 2:30 in the morning, I sneak out of my house barefoot and run through like a muddy field, jump a fence to like get to her house to see her when she gets back from the show, to like make sweet, like,
I think,
have you,
well, up at that point, here, I think, because when you said Abby, I was like, I know I heard that.
so I basically, she's not there when I get there, and I'm Xing my balls off, and my feet are covered in mud,
Thorns.
and I
like
sneak into the
Malibu
house,
ankles.
and I get into her room, and
God damn it,
she
man.
has black satin sheets. And I remember putting on a Fish record and sitting like Indian style with my muddy bare feet on her black satin sheets, like, and that was like my game.
After
That I
you
thought
broke into her fucking
that
house.
she would like walk in and see me like, hey,
Hey.
and like I was gonna give her the other hit of ecstasy, and it was
Yeah,
gonna be
the
on.
two of you would enter into a different
Needless
realm
to
of,
say, she walks in, she sees me, and then like followed behind her is like a 23-year-old dude that she had taken to the show. They became boyfriend girlfriend for like ever. She walks in, I'm like, hey, and then he walks in. He's got like an awesome mustache and is like
Yeah.
23, and I'm like, oh fuck. And then it's just like, what do you do? Like, you know, try to play it off that you just wanted to kick it,
Oh,
like
yes.
whatevs, and like
what a chill.
cut to I wound up giving them the hit of ecstasy. They took it that night, made love,
Fuck.
stayed together
Yeah.
forever, and my life,
walked home.
my life as a Rastafarian prophet was officially over.
We're bumping it right now.
I just feel like that
God.
maybe gives some people a
Damn it,
scope
man.
of, I don't know,
Now, that arrest
that arrest.
cannot, 1 year for Jonathan's birthday, I was like, I got it. I was going to try to find the Inquirer, because that's...
There was a National Enquirer blurb written about it. They couldn't print my name as a minor, but my dad's name was in it, and I had the same name. And they said that he was, you know,
Night
John
Court
Larroquette,
star.
Night Court star John Larroquette's son was arrested on the PCH with, you know, I think they even had like the amount of money and how much weed. I mean, somebody from the police station had sold the story, no question about it. And Seth has
So...
not been able to find it.
Well, no, the thing, I was like,
Excuse
this
me,
would be
maybe.
perfect. We'll get this Inquirer, try to find it on eBay. Then I was like, we'll call the Inquirer up. We'll just order, you know, a back issue.
Oh,
The whole from whatever, what was our scare? The fucking, we took Cipro for our...
Y2K.
no, what's the fucking, not ricin. What the fuck was that every person got in the mail? The
Anthrax.
Anthrax. The Anthrax got sent to the National Enquirer building in Florida. So everything from a certain year on, they quarantined the whole building, and then it was like they had to destroy everything
it was
in the
like all
building.
burned and
So basically, the Enquirer, I don't know at what year it starts, but they lost every single microfiche and fucking old back So if anyone can find the Inquirer, what year would that be? 90 fucking. Anybody can find that for August 7th of this year.
It would be 14 years ago. 14 and a half years.
God, 14 years ago. Where's the time gone? Jah.